super excited to watch the movie with you guys. We saw it, but I'm dying to see how you guys react to it. Who's super pumped about this movie? Who's been excited since they first announced it? And who's excited about the dress? Oh, there was some thought, like, I don't know. Now it's okay, it's actually quite beautiful. But I don't want to waste too much more time because I'm sure you guys have a million questions. We have an amazing panel of creatives who both worked on the original film, but also this film that we're watching today. And now all those questions you've had your whole life growing up, you can finally ask them. You guys come on up, come on up on the chairs. Introduce yourselves. That's right, give it up guys, put your hands together. This is going to be a blast. This is like insight. My whole life is led up to having this event just so that I can ask them questions. It's very different. And we're going to pass this mic around because this one's not working.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves. I think that would be more thorough. So, I'll start on this end.
Oh, hi, everybody here. I'm Randy Cartwright. Was an animator at Disney. We're not doing too much 2D stuff anymore for features, but that's what I did, and I animated on Belle on Beauty and the Beast.
You look a little like Belle, it's true. A little bit, yeah. My name's Hahn. I'm the producer of Beauty and the Beast and the executive producer of the new Beauty and the Beast. There's a very special person.
I'm Bradley Pierce. I was the voice of Chip the Teacup in the original.
I'm Mike Cedeno. I also animated Belle. And if it wasn't for James Baxter, I mean, he's the one who led it. It was pretty amazing. Also, I did a lot of the designs of all the characters in the village. Like funny looking ones. Anyway.
Oh, man. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're super honored to have you. I'm sure everyone feels the same as I do, that I'm kind of nerding out a little bit. This is a super special opportunity, especially under these circumstances. So I guess my first question to you guys is sort of a two-part question. Number one, did you ever think that Beauty and the Beast would result in this occurring and in creating this legacy? But number two, what was it like working on the films?
Well, first of all, I don't think we thought it would be this explosive. I think one of the things that made this film work was that it was toward the adults as well as the children. And it had a theme about the odd girl out, the odd boy out, you know, somebody who had a mind of its own, wanted to become who they are. And it turned out to be a wonderful movie. I liked it, and I enjoyed working with it, and many incredible, talented people.
When I started recording, I was 7 years old. I had no idea how any of this really worked. I knew that it was cool to be a part of something that was Disney, and I knew that anytime you're working with Disney, you have the potential to be part of something that lasts forever. And it was just an amazing experience for anybody, but especially for a kid who's 7 and 8 years old.
I also was 8 years old when I just made that part up. We had no idea. I mean, we were working on this movie. We were in a warehouse in Glendale, California. The air conditioner would break quite frequently. And we were trying to put together something that was could sit on the shelf along with movies like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and Peter Pan. And that was an impossible challenge, but something we wanted to try to do for this generation of filmmakers. And these guys and all of our colleagues who aren't here today really tried to push ahead and create something that was kind of interesting and different. And the audience reaction was crazy, and still is. It's actually crazier today than it was back then because there was no build-up to it. Everybody thought, oh, Beauty and the Beast, that sounds nice. And today, there's this huge build-up to it, so it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember we were astounded when Mermaid made so much money. We were like, shocked at that, and we're hoping to kind of at least match that. But when we're making a movie, we have periodic screenings where we see storyboards and rough animation and see how the movie is developing. And often there's a good screening, and the next one you see, something's changed, it's not quite as good, and you get comments, and you make it better. And I remember the screening before, the last screening that the staff saw of the rough version was really kind of a downer. We weren't that impressed with it. We thought, oh gosh, in fact, I even had a letter I wrote to Don saying, I'm so sorry about the movie. I'm embarrassed. I thought that. But anyway, but in that period between that screening and the changes they made before the movie came out, completely turned the movie around and made everything work amazingly well. I was kind of astounded at how small changes can really affect a movie and make it work in a different way.
Well, and on behalf of everybody here, thank you guys for sharing your story and your legacy in this. Now let's start targeting. Let's get a little specific. And this is probably the question everybody is most curious about. I know me in particular, but this one's for Don specifically. And what was the process like to take an animated film that's so highly regarded, like Beauty and the Beast, and then convert that and make that into a live action adaptation? What was that like for you?
Terrifying. We had tried for a long time. There was an idea, even probably 10 or 15 years ago, to turn it into a live action film because it had been on Broadway, and we thought, well, that would be the trifecta. You would have an animated film, it would go on Broadway, and then it would be a live action film. We wrote some scripts, but the world had not quite come into focus yet in terms of the technology needed and the right actors to play Belle, and just so many things had to come into alignment. And that's all what happened 3 years ago. So I think a lot of it was saying that technology's caught up to the ability to do things like the objects or the beast. So now you could shoot, people wearing leotards and ping pong balls, and that would turn into the beast. And you would also have the ability to nostalgically go back and revisit the songs and have some new songs from Alan Menken. And a lot of it was Bill Condon, the director of the movie, who's got a great Broadway background and understood how to tell stories with songs. And Howard Ashman, who was our lyricist and our executive producer, who sadly we lost to AIDS in the making of the original movie, was the master of narrative in songs. So he could tell a story in a song like nobody else. So the ability to bring all that back and to be able to get Emma Watson, who was going to do La La Land and ended up passing on that and saying, no, thank you, I'll do this. I mean, that's great. Yeah, and when I promise you, when you're a producer and you have Emma Watson say, yes, I'd like to do your movie, you can sleep well at night.
Yeah, I've heard of La La Land, I guess. Next question is actually for Randy and Mike, so this will be interesting. We'll go back and forth. But you guys spent so much time animating Belle. I'm sure that she became a character that you probably deeply connected with. So I want to know a little bit about what that was like animating her. What did you kind of, what inspirations did you draw from when you were animating her? And when you're going to watch this film, do you feel like there's already a person that you know and expect to see on the screen? And how are you sort of going into this movie? Where's your mindset on that?
Well, animating a human character is really difficult because we all know how human characters work, how they move, and if you make mistakes, people will know it right away. So animating on Belle was a real challenge. I'd been out of animation itself because I'd been working on the Disney computer caps painting system. I was the artistic director of that for 4 years. And coming back into Beauty and the Beast, I really wanted to dig into animation, so I asked if I could get onto the Belle team and animated on her. And it was, it's a great challenge. I'll say James Baxter was a tremendous help too, though. When you have drawings, you would take them to him, and he would go over and make some little suggestions and changes, and really kind of help pull it together. It was a great challenge, but a lot of fun to work on. I'll say to do a real human character, something I hadn't animated up to that time.
Those things that were, like Randy said, animating human characters it's a struggle because you really have to know the anatomy and drawing and listening to the dialogue and listening to the phrasing and thinking that, oh man, she's really into this part. She knows, and listening to the dialogue and then transferring that into the acting part is quite a jump. somebody said that animators are twofold. They're actors and they're artists. They have to do both. And they have to really interpret everything that's inside. And I think that's what makes animating a human character really that much more difficult, but that so much more intriguing as well. And Animating Belle was wonderful because, like I said before, and like Randy said before, James Baxter is incredible. He would just go over a couple of lines and then you'd go, oh, that's placed right, you know, things like that. And Animating Belle was one of those things that it wasn't rotoscoped. I mean, you really had to like know the anatomy and know how to step, how to walk, how to turn, how to phrase your dialogue. And it was quite a remarkable, wonderful experience, I gotta tell you. And yeah, didn't know it would end up like this 20 some odd years later. My God, you guys. One of the things that I thought was funny was that, I think Don had mentioned it too before. Everybody has, it's like, do you realize, everybody says, I grew up with that picture. And most of you weren't even born when we made it. And I thought, God, you know, they took me out of high school to get onto animation, so I was thinking, yeah, we did this when we were young, but still, it held up. And thank you guys.
Thank you. Really, this question's for Bradley. You got the gig when you were 7. That's insane. What was it like when you found out that you were doing this? And you know, walk us through the mind of a 7-year-old child about the voice of Disney character. What was this experience like for you? And sort of what's its lasting impact been on you?
Well, as a 7-year-old boy, finding out that I'm connected in any way to Disney was absolutely incredible. Like everybody else here, like me, grew up with watching Disney movies. I was more of a Disney TV kid than a Disney movie kid, but both were a huge part of my growing up. And realizing that you could be even just a piece of something that was going to be on everybody's shelves as they grew up was incredible. And as I've grown and I've been able to appreciate the messages of Disney and the heart of Disney, especially through its films, it really is amazing to be a part of something that has brought so much joy to so many people and allowed so many people to feel connected to something. Especially Beauty and the Beast, because it is about finding yourself and being able to love yourself. You know, that truth is an amazing thing to help be a part of sharing. But as a 7-year-old, it was just, every day was amazing. It was, I can't believe this is happening. It was a surreal dream of a situation. I got to be, you know, playing make-believe in the studio at Disney. Like, that was amazing. Nobody gets to do that. It was an absolute dream. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you know, I just think you're sort of part of history, whatever. Don, here's a question leading into this film. This is something that's, I'm sure a lot of people are already anticipating, but we need to hear from the source. Are there any Easter eggs we should be looking out for? Or are there any things that we should just be particularly paying attention to? There's on.
I haven't seen any Easter eggs. I won't tell you, no. You know, I don't want to disappoint you, but I don't think there's a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. We played it pretty straight because when you're spending a lot of money and time and everything else, but you might see a few things pass by from time to time, and I won't tell you about them. No, it's called an Easter egg because you have to find it. Almost Easter, so there you go.
Well then I'll ask this. Sorry, I couldn't help it. I had to put that one in there. Okay, when you're converting this over from animated to live action, what are the things that you look for the most? Like, what are the key elements of both the characters, maybe the setting, that you look at in the original film and say, this has to be accurate, or we can expand on this? How do you, like, what were you focusing on when you were doing that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think part of it is realizing this is a really old story. So it's not only an opportunity to retell it again, but it's almost our job as storytellers to retell it again. It's as old as Cupid and Psyche, it's Cyrano de Bergerac, it's Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's been around a long time.
It's a tale as old as time.
You could say it's a tale as old as time. Really true. Thank God you're here, actually. It is exactly that. And so you could, you want to deliver that. You want to deliver the, not only the nostalgia, but also kind of reimagine it for a new audience. The movie we made 25 years ago is not going to go away. You can still watch it. And this movie is a reimagining of that. And so you want to deliver the key points. You want to have the audience say, oh, there's Gaston in a way I haven't seen him before. And there's LeFou or Belle or whoever in a way I haven't seen before. That's why there's 3 new songs in this movie from Alan Menken and the great Tim Rice.
For the voice part, yeah, always we're inspired by the voices. The voices are always recorded before the animation. So what I would always do is I would play the track and just close my eyes and kind of visualize what the actor might be doing, what the character could be doing, what they could be saying, and try to capture, what's in my head on my drawings. As to the stuff I did, after coming back from the computer thing, after 4 years, my first assignment was the Be Our Guest, putting Belle in there. They actually had Maurice animated in there first. The whole thing had been done for Maurice. Then Jeffrey Katzenberg looked at it and said, something's wrong with this, and decided we better put Belle in and make the movie about her. So I had to take Maurice out and put Belle in to animate. And I was just getting warmed up again back into animation after being gone for so long, so I don't feel like it's my best work, but it's what I did. I did the stuff afterwards where she's talking with the objects, and then at the end where she has the mirror and she goes out, holds it to the people, and Gaston grabs her, spins her around, and all that. I did all of that. In the scene where Gaston actually spins her around, he grabs her shoulder and spins her. Because of scheduling, I had to animate Belle before Gaston was animated. Andreas was animating Gaston, so I had to animate Belle being spun around by nothing, and then Andreas had to come in and stick Gaston in there to actually spin her around. Sometimes it's a challenge because different characters done by different people, and sometimes the part you need has not been animated yet, so you have to still kind of try to make it work. Well, I also did the old guy with the money that tries to take Maurice away. One of some of my other stuff.
I like how you say this is your best work. I don't think if you put this on a resume, anybody would turn you down. I'm just guessing on that one. Bradley, aside from being an immense talent yourself, you worked with some amazing individuals in this film. Were you ever given any pointers or tips from the other voice actors? And also, additionally, was there anything you did to get into character? Was there any special sort of little chip moments behind the scene that made it onto the screen?
Okay, so the first question, actors that I worked with that may have given me some advice. I actually did not work very closely with any of the other actors in this. We all recorded separate sessions, with the exception being, I think, some of the songs and Belle and Feast worked together. But I did get some advice from a voice actor, not on this film, but a man named Jim Cummings, who's another huge Disney voice. And he told me that the key to acting, especially voice acting, is to find your uniqueness. Embrace what it is that makes you, you, and then figure out how to create characters around that. And that has stuck with me and is definitely a part of the acting toolkit. And as far as moments or getting into Chip's character, Chip and me are the same guy. Like, we're the same kid. There was actually a lot of times where I would be telling a story to either the booth director or whatever that would end up becoming part of this. When he surfaces out of the bathtub and spits the water through his teeth, that was because I was telling him about how my uncle taught me how to do that in his hot tub that summer. And so they put that in. And What's There, Mama was also another funny story. I had mistakenly punched the wrong, and emphasized the wrong part of his mustache tickles mama. Some of the adults got it. And I said, what's so funny? And they said, we'll tell you when you're older. And that, I don't know if that's actually why that was written in, but I think it may have influenced that, what's there, mama?
Hey, hold on, logical follow-up. Did they ever tell you?
No, they didn't.
Forget it, everybody leave. Chip eventually, he ended up there. That's amazing. Don, you briefly touched on this a little bit earlier, but I was wondering if you could possibly enlighten us and tell us anything else about sort of the musical aspect of the film. You said there was 3 new songs. What was it like adding to this film, number one, and what was that process of the musical development like?
It was interesting. The original movie, we worked with Howard and Alan, and we flew back, since Howard was sick, we flew back to New York. So Howard lived in upstate New York on the Hudson River Valley in a town called Beacon. And so we moved our story department up there, and in a beautiful Residence Inn by Marriott. And we set up our piano for Alan, and we set up some storyboards, and we would pitch like the opening number, but it wasn't a musical number at the time. We would just say, okay, Belle walks down the stairs, she says hello to the baker, there's some boys, and we would just pitch through it. And then Howard would say, what if we just made this like a big operetta, like a Gilbert and Sullivan thing? And they would go away and write, and then a couple weeks later we would get a tape in. That's back when we had cassette tapes, which is a small plastic rectangle. Okay, good. And it was amazing because we would then get this 4-minute song, 5-minute song that opens the movie and opens the new movie that is totally narrative. So you're getting like these amazing Christmas presents when these tapes came in. And it goes back to Howard and Alan being these narrative film writers. And Howard worked really closely with Linda Wolverton, who wrote the screenplay, and worked closely with our storyboard artists too, in coming up with the story and the dialogue and that kind of stuff. Howard, before this, had done Little Mermaid. Before that, he did Little Shop of Horrors, which was a huge Broadway hit. And he's an amazing character. I'm working on a documentary about him right now that'll be out in a year or so stay tuned for that. But he's an amazing guy. The new movie, it was just a chance to flesh out the characters more. So there's 3 great songs in it. One that's very much about Belle and her father, one that's about Belle and the Beast, and one that's a kind of solo that the Beast sings deep in the movie that kind of expresses his feelings about Belle. And it's just an opportunity, again, to give the audience something fresh, something new, something entertaining in the context of a film that wasn't perhaps in the Broadway show, wasn't in the original movie, but it's kind of a fresh voice for the film.
That's really amazing. So we have about 10 minutes left, but this is two-part question again. I keep throwing double questions at you for Disney properties, Disney films. So the first part of the question is, what else have you worked on for Disney? And the second part of the question is, overall, do you have any just cool Disney stories that you have just from the years of being part of the company?
Oh, well, yeah, I worked on, quite a few things back in the old days. I started on the original Rescuers and Fox and Hound, Pete's Dragon, Mickey's Christmas Carol, I did the Magic Carpet in Aladdin, Lion King, a few movies here, and also Brave Little Toaster. Out of all these huge Disney movies, which are huge budget things, Brave Little Toaster was $2 million, which is just about nothing. And people seem to like it. It's quite an unusual little film. Anyway, as to unusual things at Disney, oh God, yeah. What can I say?
There's so many we can't talk about.
We have to, I have to just write a book about that someday. I'll have to think.
Wow. Mike like Great Little Toaster, my closet movie, where I produced Lion King and I produced Hunchback of Notre Dame. And but when I go, like I was at Comic-Con last year, and I said, I produced Emperor's New Groove. And people, it's like a cult movie now. So if I say like Yzma, everybody goes, wow. Anyway, so I worked on those movies, and Randy and I started around the same time. I started in '76 at Disney with some of the old animators that worked there, and I worked with Randy on Fox and the Hound and on Pete's Dragon and Mickey's Christmas Carol. And then I produced the animation on Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and then from there went to Beauty and the Beast and Lion King and Hunchback, and did a bunch of Disney nature movies.
I have done considerably less Disney than either of those two. But I was the voice of Flounder in a couple of episodes of the TV show, and some of the toys. I also did a couple of other...
Don't hyperventilate.
Get her a popcorn bag! I did a couple of other characters in that. I was one of the Lost Boys in Return to Neverland. And trying to think of other Disney stuff. There's not much else, really. But that's, that's still awesome. And this is still one of my favorites that I've been a part of at all. It's awesome.
Wow. They took me out of high school. Cal Arts and Disney, and then I was at Cal Arts the very first year in 1976. Then I started working at Disney at the age of 18, and I met these guys working on Fox and the Hound. I remember they said that you can't do humans, so we're going to give you quadrupeds. And then they said you can't do quadrupeds too well, so put bushes in front. So it looked like little puppets. Anyway, so we went from that. I think I animated on every single film except for Mulan. And well, I did, Little Mermaid. It was Prince Eric.
Prince Eric.
Yeah, they couldn't help it. And Aladdin, they really wanted me to do that because they saw that was my favorite characters because I like jumping roofs. Yeah, and stealing things. And so Lion King was one of the ones that I liked and enjoyed. There's so many more, but God, the things that we did, I got to tell you, designing characters was one of the funnest, most incredible things to do. And as for those little tidbits things, sort of Easter eggs, well, I had to design so many characters in all these films. Beauty and the Beast, and there's a scene where there's all the crowds in the ballroom dance like this. So I had to fill in a lot of people. A lot of them are my friends. And like in Little Mermaid, jump Max, jump. Max jumps onto the boat. There's all my animator friends down below. But yeah, there's so many things. I was coming to work in skateboard, barefooted, with a bow and arrow, long hair. I'm surprised I got past security sometimes. But they went, oh, he's an animator. Anyhow, so it was a long run all the way up to, well, Atlantis was fun. And Treasure Planet. Boy, there's so many, but yeah, I think I only missed 2. But doing character designs was just an awesome thing to do because you start and you listen to the characters and you think about who they are. It's just fun. It's a really great thing to do. Anyway, I enjoyed myself. Thank you guys.
Yeah, Prince Eric, he's all right, I guess. But Flounder, though. All right, now I actually want to open it up to you guys. Do you have any? Whoa, girl. I think we found our first question. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. What's your here? Let me see if I can here.
My question is, Do you have a favorite line or lyric from the original or the new one?
Oh, yeah.
I just realized something. One of the ones that I just was thinking that was when Aladdin and Jasmine are on the carpet. You guys know that song? I heard that so many times. Because that's a long scene. But there's so many that you have to relate to the timing on it, but that's one that sticks in my head right off the bat. So every time it comes on, I turn it off.
Favorite line from this one, I think it's that conversation at the end of something there that wasn't there before. What's there, Mama? That, I think, is the one that sticks out in my mind as like the most memorable for me.
There's a great line in the original movie that David Steyer's improvised, where he says, so, they're talking about what the bee should do to attract her, and he says, so, flowers, chocolates, promises you don't intend to keep. It wasn't in the script, that just came from David Steyer's.
In terms of dialogue, I don't remember actually a whole lot of specific lines. I remember Cogsworth and Lumiere, just all their interplay, the back and forth, the little throwaway lines, background stuff. I love that kind of stuff. Yeah. I just love all the little throwaway lines. They just talk, kind of like Popeye used to do in the old cartoons, mumbling under his breath. I love that kind of stuff.
Noah, yeah, all right. There you are.
I have a question to Bradley. What did your friends think when you got casted for Chip?
Awesome question. He's aspiring, by the way. I'm gonna get my workout, man. Beauty and the Beast and calorie burning.
By the way, sorry to everybody in the front. We're only taking questions from the back of the house now. Honestly, I didn't tell most of the people that I went to school with when I first got the job. Because I didn't really... You're not supposed to really talk about it. You're supposed to kind of keep it secret. But as people started to find out, because I was 7 and you tell people things. Sorry, Doug. It was awesome. Everybody was, most of them were a little bit confused. Like, what do you mean you're going to be in a Disney movie? Like, it's not, people aren't really in Disney movies. They're just the things that we go and we watch and we like. And it was, it sunk in slowly for them and for me. This was really a thing that was happening. I really was going to be a teacup in a Disney movie. It was really cool.
I have an added question. So you recorded the lines at 7. It probably took some time before it actually came out. I'm sure, had your voice changed by then? And then at that point, were people asking you to do lines to convince them, and it was a completely different sounding voice?
The recording actually took 2.5 years, almost. And Chip originally only had 1 line, so they kept calling me in to like, okay, we're gonna add 2 more today. Okay, we're gonna add 2 more. So it built up very slowly. But when the movie released, I was 9. So it was, my voice still hadn't started to change yet, so I could still do it for a few years. But then by the time they started doing the sequels, I was not able to do it anymore. They did give me first shot at it, and I went in the booth, and I tried really hard, and just couldn't quite get there anymore. I could get close to the pitch, but the problem is it just got really flat. I didn't have any texture or any changes in the voice anymore, so they had to have somebody else do it. That was okay. I was still, I'm still the first one. So.
Although now I want to see a spin-off movie about Chip in his tween years, like, what's there, mama? Tell me now. It's time. think you want to ask a question. And I think this is going to be our last one.
This is for everyone. What was the gray stuff originally intended to be like? 'Cause, I mean, I know they have it at Disneyland now, but what was it supposed to taste like? What was it supposed to be? Sweet or savory? All these questions.
Honestly, this is the only reason we're here today. This debate. All right, who's gonna? I figured, yeah.
This may be a great disappointment to you, but I don't know. There's a couple things about the movie that people are just crazy about, like what's the prince's name? Because everybody says, well, it's Adam, and we didn't name the prince. He's the beast. And later in a storybook, I think somebody named the prince Adam, so everybody calls him Adam. But if we had named him, we would have named him something French, because it takes place in France, so he would be like Jacques or something. Immediately texting the blogosphere that Jacques is fantastic in the movie. But Grey Stuff is just Howard Ashman, who loved food, and he put a food song in every movie he did, like Le Poisson in Mermaid and that kind of thing. So he needed something that rhymed with dishes, and so he used the word delicious, and he just needed to say, try the Grey Stuff, it's delicious. Don't believe me? Ask the dishes. So Grey Stuff was just part of a rhyming scheme. But we can say today what you think it is. I think it's a savory tart. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it tastes like poi. Poi, he likes poi.
Yeah.
Poi.
Exactly.
I thought it was some sort of pate on a cracker.
Nice.
It's the last thing on the last part of the shelf in the cafeteria that no one touches.
There you have it, you guys. Everyone, please give it up for us. Thank you guys so much.